Good morning. Did you get breakfast? Are you sure? Because I can go get it for you. I don't know what they have. I've got to go find it.
Seated.
You go.
Okay. You got the whole bag. Dog.
We're gonna share. Since we're both independent people. That's right. If anybody else gets jealous.
If you're in this room, your phone's just.
Now, the issue is.
Did you get the recording deleted yesterday?
Here we go.
Okay.
All right. Okay. We'll resume this board meeting from yesterday afternoon. And again, I have Ms. Morris on my right, who is the representative from the Attorney General's office, Ms. Fulgham, who's our court reporter. We'll introduce ourselves for Dr. Wu. Start with Dr. Cleveland.
Ken Cleveland, Executive Director.
Dr. Dan Eddy, board member from Vicksburg.
I'm Dr. Ken Lippincott, board member from Tupelo. Dr. Charles Miles, board member from West Point.
Dr. David McClendon, Vice President of the Board, Ocean Springs.
Ann Ray, president from Columbus, Mississippi.
Michelle Owens, Secretary of the Board, Jackson, Mississippi.
Alan Gersh, member from Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Kirk Kennard, member from Oxford.
Tom Dorner, member from Jackson, Mississippi.
Eric Aaron, singer, member.
Webster Braden, member from Hattiesburg.
I'm Joel Powell, and I represent Dr. Wu, Mrs. Wu, and my co-counsel, Donald Rafferty.
Good morning. I'm going to turn the proceedings of this hearing over to Ms. Morris. We have for us Dr. Wu. I'll make it for a hearing before this board.
Mr. Ingram, you can begin when you're ready.
There are some preliminaries. I'm going to make a brief statement summarizing the facts of the case, and opposing counsel will do the same before we place anything into the record. I think they want to make a proposal as a resolution before we go further. I think that before we do that, I think the board members, I would like to at least provide a brief sketch of the facts of this case. Dr. Wu's been charged to, before this board, of prescribing outside the course of legit professional practice.
Stand. Microphone.
Oh, sorry. Is that better? Yeah, it's better. I can hear it myself. Dr. Wu has been charged with 2 counts of violation of the Mississippi Medical Practice Act. Number 1 is prescribing outside the course of legit professional practice. The evidence will show that Dr. Wu prescribed a drug called transmucosal immediate release fentanyl, what I will call TIRF as an abbreviation, and did so as he was participating in a program sponsored by the FDA. I'll go into more details in just a second. And the program restricted the use of this medication, substance, SUB/SYS, which is a TIRF medication. He used the substance inappropriately and outside that clearly worded restriction required by the FDA. That would be prescribing outside the course of legitimate professional practice. Following that, count 2 would be unprofessional conduct likely to be received to cause harm to the public. Anytime you prescribe a controlled substance, especially as dangerous as fentanyl, there's a potential for harm. Thus, unprofessional conduct likely, doesn't mean I have to prove anybody was harmed, but likely to cause harm to patients. Now, let me get a little bit more of the facts. Insys Therapeutics, INSYS, is a company that manufactured and developed substance. As I said, transmucosal immediate release fentanyl, TIRF. U.S. Food and Drug Administration restricted the use of that medication for single-use management of breakthrough pain in patients 18 years of age or older with cancer who are already receiving and who are already tolerant around the clock to opioid therapy for the underlying persistent cancer pain. Our position is that's extremely clear. If you're going to use substance, it's got to be to cancer patients 18 years of age or older, currently, as I said, diagnosed with cancer, already opioid tolerant, around the clock opioid tolerant, and the substance is for breakthrough pain. Physicians who want to prescribe TIRF products like substance are outpatient must become certified by completing training and a knowledge assessment, enrolling in what they call the Risk Evaluation and Mitigation Strategy Program, Access Program. So not only was substance restricted to cancer patients under what I just said, But before you can prescribe it, FDA says you have to have some training, and you have to be enrolled, and you have to acknowledge what the limitations are. The TIRF REMS education program for prescribers also included extensive information about appropriate patient selection. Again, I'm going to repeat this multiple times probably in this presentation. FDA made it clear, TIRF medicines are indicated only, word only is very clear, for the management of breakthrough pain in patients with cancer who are already receiving and who are tolerant to round-the-clock opioid therapy for their underlying persistent pain. A prescriber wishing to enroll in the TIRF REMS program must attest to the understanding of this restriction. On July 5, 2017, the board investigator was contacted by federal agents concerning a physician license of the board and prescribing substances, further alleging that the Mississippi physician may be prescribing substances to non-cancer patients while receiving kickbacks from the manufacturer. Because the federal investigation was then ongoing, the board cooperated but stood down. Because the federal investigation was, the board was then advised, and August 1, 2013, the U.S. Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, began collecting data on payments made by INCESS, that's the manufacturer, to physicians and other promoters. On June 4, 2019, an information was filed before the United States District Court. For you those not versed in criminal law, an information is similar to an indictment. It's just basically presenting to the court certain information. An information was filed before the United States District Court for the Southern District of Massachusetts, seeking a 5-count mail fraud information against INCESS Therapeutics, alleging that beginning in August 2012 and continuing until June 2015, INCESS paid bribes to physicians to induce them to prescribe substances. The bribes were paid to physicians through a speaker program, all to induce the practitioners to write more prescriptions of substances. On June 4, 2019, the United States Department of Justice entered into an agreement with INCESS Therapeutics, wherein INCESS agreed to waive indictment and plead guilty to all 5 counts of mail fraud in violation of Title 18 U.S.C. Section 1341. In exchange for an agreement to pay $2 million in fines, $28 million in forfeiture, and $195 million in civil restitution. The actions of the federal government against INCESS were also prompted, and you've seen these before, a special fraud alert from the Office of the Inspector General of the Department of Health and Human Services, basically addressing speaker program, highlighting the fraud and abuse risk associated with the offer, payment, and solicitation and receipt of remuneration related to speaker programs by pharmaceutical and medical device companies. The evidence will show that Dr. Wu participated in the TIRF REMS program from October 28, 2013 to October 28, 2015. And when he participated, or prior to participation, he signed off that he understood what the restricted use of that medication was for. On October 28, 2013, as I said, we executed what we call a prescription enrollment form. It'll be placed to the record. You can see it. What does this form said? He basically acknowledged, I understand that TIRF medicines are indicated only for the management of breakthrough pain in patients with cancer who are already receiving, you've already heard what the requirement is. Despite this unequivocal and unambiguous condition of participation and the FDA's clearly worded restricted use verbiage, Dr. Wu, over a period of 2 years, issued multiple prescriptions for TIRF to multiple non-cancer patients, of which we'll highlight 5 of which are patients 1 through 5. You've got the list of the patients by name. As you know, the usual format, we're not concerned with who the patients are. And so when you if you have a question during testimony, when you refer to it, you hear reference to a patient, you'll know who that is and the file that belongs to. Now, I will say this, I understand the 3 of those patients are here today. Will be, or not here yet.
May not have.
All right. The prescriptions at the same time, Dr. Wu, at the same time he was issuing these prescriptions, Dr. Wu was courted by NSYS, which gave him, and he accepted approximately $27,905.22 for participating in speaker program. As I said, the summons and affidavit charges him as a result of this, and I think the evidence will clearly establish unequivocally that he prescribed substance for non-cancer pain, which they're not denying. They're not denying the fact that he prescribed substance for non-cancer pain. I could basically say case closed at this point, but I think the board needs to hear what the mitigating circumstances are, what their defense. But the position is going to be counts 1 and 2, prescribing outside the course of legit professional practice and unprofessional conduct likely to harm. You're going to hear testimony, if we go that far, from Dr. Lassiter, who's an expert in pain management. And he'll testify as to just how dangerous this fentanyl is and how many deaths have occurred across the country.
We appreciate the opportunity before we go to the formal hearing.
Your microphone, excuse me.
Is it on?
Damn, am I doing something wrong?
Is it on?
Next round.
How about that?
That's great. Thank you.
Been a while, I haven't had a chance to do this. I feel a little like the Sundance Kid if I could move. We wish to present the case from the perspective of Dr. Wu and his patients. We fully respect rules, laws of the state of Mississippi and this board. And we submit that if you determine at a very preliminary stage that any discipline is appropriate, license suspension is not one of them, and there are alternatives which will serve the purposes of all concerned. Now, Dr. Wu actually went to medical school in China, came to this country and finished his education, and was recruited to be the founding physician for the pain clinic at Gulfport Memorial Hospital in 2005. We do not contest that around 2012, NSYS came and started bringing lunch, which is not uncommon in the profession. And Dr. Wu, being a good pain doctor, entered into their educational program and was compensated for speaking at a couple of seminars. However, and my friend Stan will stipulate to this, there are no criminal charges against Dr. Wu. Okay?
Not that I'm aware of, that's correct.
Well, Stan's deal was in 2017, and this is 21, what if happens by now? Anyway, okay, right now, no criminal charges against Dr. Wu. Okay, now, if you have the time and the inclination, the proof at the hearing will show what I have put in a series of letters. The first letter is from Dr. Wu detailing his contacts with NSYS and the fact that he did legitimately speak at seminars. It also speaks to his training. Now we come to the specifics of the patient. We have 3 of them available to testify, but I have secured letters from them, and those will be included in the stack that you will be given an opportunity to examine in more detail. All were long-time patients of Dr. Wu for a number of years. All were opioid resistant and had intractable breakthrough pain. Patient number 2, chronic back pain for 10 years, on opioids for years. Dr. Wu did make a decision to prescribe to an opioid-resistant patient with breakthrough pain. He did so prescribe from November 2012 to December 2014. I don't think there's any allegation, and this is subject to cross-examination, that he overprescribed anybody. In any event, he discontinued the medication in 2014 because the patient had an excellent result. She was able to go back to work, back pain was relieved, there were no adverse health consequences. Likewise, patient number 3 had been a patient of Dr. Wu since 2010, prescribed from 2013 to 2015. Terrific result. Took her off the medicine in 2015. She also will be available to testify how life-changing that medication was for her. Patient number 5 was a floor dealer in a casino and had great trouble working. And with the assist of this medication, he was able to go back to work. He was prescribed from May 2013 until May 2015, and he also will testify that it was a life-changing event, that it relieved his breakthrough pain. So you've got all the opioid-resistant patients, and I submit to you that you can find that the only thing Dr. Wu tried to do was give these patients some relief. Now, if it is of importance, we have perhaps a dozen character letters. Those are included in the letters here. I will not detail those at this time. Let's turn to the affidavit and the allegations against the doctor. First of all, there is alleged to be a violation, Mississippi Code 752529-3. Administering, prescribing, dispensing any other drug having addiction forming or addiction sustaining liability other than in the course of legitimate professional practice. I submit, given the treatment of these patients with this drug, it was a legitimate professional practice. No one was harmed. The patients were helped. The second allegation includes guilty of unprofessional conduct. 752583 is a catch-all, but 298D says being guilty of any dishonorable or unethical conduct likely to deceive, defraud, or harm the public. No one was deceived. Dr. Wu signed the agreement. The patient, with full disclosure, signed the agreement. No one was defrauded. There was no harm to the public. And as I said, 2583 just says unprofessional conduct is defined in the physician licensure and disciplinary law. So at the end of the day, where are we? I wish he hadn't done it, but he did. There were good reasons. And if you determine that discipline is appropriate, we submit that under 752587, taking his license is not appropriate for something that happened more than 5 years ago and helped patients. I tried to negotiate with this with Dr. Cleveland. Unfortunately, under the law, you can't fine him, but you can administer a public or private reprimand. You can require him to participate in a program of education, or you can direct that he practice under a physician. An alternative, I suppose, would be a suspension, which could be stayed. A case Stan had that I was peripherally involved in, McFadden versus Mississippi, about 20 years ago, did precisely that. If you are amenable to this and allowing Dr. Wood to continue his practice, we are willing to accept this from this board. Any questions for us?
Are you making a formal presentation of a settlement offer?
I thought that's what we were doing.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, but I want to make sure that the board understands what you're asking for. A reprimand and what?
Well, you have a number of options. if you determine that discipline is appropriate. I submit to you, this is not a license suspension case. We leave it to your discretion, but he is willing to accept reprimand, public or private, continuing education and practice restrictions if necessary.
May I ask a question then?
Let me also say one thing real quick before we go further. Now, I'll kind of elaborate on what Joel's saying. Before anybody gets confused, everybody understands what off-label use of a medication is. We're not talking about off-label use because it was FDA restricted the medication to that specific purpose and nothing else. So Dr. Wu did not have the option of off-label decision making. Now, with that said, I hear the offer or the proposal is for you to go back in executive session and render any punishment something short of suspension of his license. You can suspend and stay, whatever. That's your choice. All I'm saying is that we're ready to proceed if you wish. Joe?
We'd like the board to consider our offer and we're open to questions.
Do you have a specific offer?
Reprimand and continuing education.
If I may, I think what he's offered is anything short of suspension.
Anything short of suspension.
Is that right?
Yes.
Which means you could suspend it and stay.
Including suspended but stay.
Yes, go ahead and make the motion.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
We're getting testimony from 3 patients that worked out well. How many patients did he give this medication to that didn't have cancer?
5.
Sorry?
No, I think it's more than that.
Well, you got 5 in the affidavit.
It shows 5.
There's 5 in the affidavit. We couldn't find 2 of them. We have the patient.
No, but his question is, were there patients other than the 5 that also received subsist for non-cancer treatment?
I'm not sure about that, man. You're the guy with the record.
So the question I think was directed to your client.
Okay, well, were there more than 5, Dr. Williams?
Has he been sworn in?
He is not.
No, well,
He needs to be sworn in,
This is-
or does he?
First of all, he can't be sworn in right now because as of right now, they have an offer on the table. So I
Okay.
would hold the questions, consider what has been presented in executive session. If you feel like there's not enough information, you can choose to proceed with the hearing.
Anybody have a motion to go into executive session
I'll make it.
or to hold this meeting?
Closed meeting to consider whether to go into executive session.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's go out here and consider whether or not to go into executive session.
You want us to leave and stay?
No.
We're going.
Okay.
consider
Okay, I need a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Okay. I will have Dr. Owens read the results of the executive session.
Regarding the hearing in the case of Dr. Wu Song-Wu, the board has decided to issue a public letter of reprimand and also to require that the licensee complete courses in ethics, prescribing, and boundaries, and those should be completed within 1 year's time.
Okay. Thank you very much. You'll receive a letter. You receive the letter recommending, you receive instructions, and we're going to have, when you have finished these courses, you will report back to the executive director on completion of those and proof of it.
Just wait.
And as you probably want to stay for a minute, we're going to assessment of cost as well. Okay. Now we're going to bring up the new business about suspension of the rule. Do we need, how do we do that?
This matter is adjourned. We're back to the public meeting.
Okay, we are in the public meeting.
Yes, this matter is adjourned.
Okay,
This
the,
matter is adjourned.
okay, the matter on Dr. Wu is adjourned.
You're gonna want to stay.
You might want,
Yeah.
but you can sit.
You can sit down and stay. We're back in the public session again, and we're going to bring up some new business on rule under 2640, chapter 1. On what page is that, Dave?
104.
Page 104 under G regarding number 5, physician who has been subject to disciplinary action of any licensing entity for conduct that is a result of inappropriately prescribing, dispensing, administering, supplying, or selling a controlled substance or the other listed medications under definitions. Where's the we have a regulation that restricts anybody has any disciplinary action by this board from continuing, okay, from continuing with a pain practice. And I'd entertain a motion to suspend that rule from March 25th, 2021 to March 25th, 2022. Dr. Gersh moves.
Second.
A second from Dr. McClendon. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that rule carries. So that part is suspended. And I'd like to refer this part back to the Rules and Regulations Committee for further work and some clarification on that rule.
Yes, ma'am. Keep it right.
Note to self.
So you have a year to complete the single needs, but I do it before January next year.
So is there any further business on today's agenda? Okay. Federation State Medical
Thank you,
Boards,
Governor.
you may be excused. Thank you very much. Under tab number 17, again, we're not able to go to Fort Worth and watch the Rangers game. I'm afraid unless you just want to do that by yourself. There is going to be another Zoom meeting. And this is the agenda, April 28th. And for those of you who have not registered, please do so. There is some CME provided in some of this. And there's a registration form in the back to give to Francis. And for right now, Dr. McClendon and I are listed as delegates. In light of this being my last meeting, do I still serve as a delegate?
You can.
I don't think so.
I don't think so
I
either.
think you have to be a board member to be an FSMB.
Mhm.
There may be I don't know, a couple of years. Is there a 2-year window after? Do you know?
I'm not certain, but she's not even.
Move twice.
He's the alternate anyway and is listed as such. So he
You
can,
could apply for a position with the FSMB for a couple of years.
okay,
Can I look into that and get back to you?
please, and about the meeting as well.
I know you can attend the meeting. I just don't know if you can be a delegate.
Right.
There was the
And,
INLCC quad at the step.
Right.
He was an officer, he was a vice president. But I don't, yeah, that's still kind of.
I just need to look into what FSMB's rules are. Because they're not the same as INLCC. Sure.
How many delegates can we have?
Well, a delegate and an alternate in case that
Yeah,
delegate
so
can't
just
be
one
there.
voting delegate's all we really
Yeah,
have.
2 of you have left me behind in the dust and said, I gotta leave early. One was you and the other was Paul Brunson, and I was secretary and served as delegate because my plane didn't go out early. But
All left over.
so there's not a real hard and fast rule on who has to be the delegate. Somebody has to represent the state of this board at the House of Delegates, which is fairly painless. So, okay, we'll list, if you can send back a note. Now, there's an education for the, for how to do the Zoom meeting this Friday from 12 to 1. There's an educational session for how to do the Zoom meeting, how to vote, how to listen and all that. And then all who want to attend the meeting, you can get some CME from it. So, and there's always something interesting coming up on the realm from that. Anything else about the FSMD meeting? Okay. Time for the next meeting of this board in May. We usually have the third Wednesday and Thursday. Check your calendars.
I'm gonna go with dates.
That'd be the 19th and 20th.
As long as the EC does their work in the afternoon.
Okay,
Because I have a lecture to give them.
okay, I don't know.
Currently scheduled at 12 p.m.
Okay.
So
So
it should be good there. EC.
one on Wednesday, and it's only on these days that we're considered, we have potential spending all day on a particular hearing or whatever that we start in the morning. So
What's the date?
18th, 19th and 20th of May. Is that okay with everybody? May. Okay. And any other business? Dr. Lippin.
I'd just like to make a motion that we commend Dr. Ann Ray for her distinguished service as president and member of these past several, 6 years, 7 years.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to move that you come back in May to accept any kind of remuneration, whatever we're gonna do.
Remuneration.
Yeah, don't be any of that.
Well, I've already asked if I can
Unless
keep,
you're writing checks.
I've already been told I can keep the umbrella.
Yeah, good.
This is not
But I will
reportable.
give this back to whoever. Well, I appreciate that. It's been an interesting 7 years, and I wouldn't trade it for any other experience. It's been educational, and it's been rewarding, and it's caused me some heartburn from time to time, but overall, it's been a very good experience, and I've worked with a great bunch of board members, some who are no longer on this board, and those of you who are here, and I've enjoyed your company very much, and thank you. And I appreciate the governor allowing me the opportunity to serve.
Thank you.
That being said, this meeting is adjourned. And Dr. McClendon has a gavel from here on out for a while. And who will be secretary?
They're gonna have to hold an election.
Okay. All right.